The past couple of weeks, a handful of my friends have asked me what my podcast setup is. So in this video, I'm going to be going through my podcast setup, the equipment, the lighting, and all that good stuff. So this one's for you guys. So let's start off with the recording equipment. So my mixer is the Zoom L12. This one right here, this is probably my favorite equipment out of all of them, because this mixer is super versatile. First is that I purposely bought the L12 because this mixer has different variations. There's the L8, I believe, and then there's the L20 as well. But the reason why I bought the L12 means it has 12 inputs. It's because I also use it for music. It allows us to do some recordings here and there. We got this guy. This is the Zoom L12. In this case, I have, I think, 6 because I'm missing a mic and I'm missing one of the toms over there. So yeah, so the drums alone need all these inputs. And then the rest are going to be for guitarist, bassist, vocalist, whatever. It's just that with my podcast, I prefer not to have more than 4 guests. 4 is a good crowd. Gets everybody focused. I don't have to shoot the entire podcast in really wide angles. And at the same time, it feels a little bit more intimate. So I try to limit the podcast to just 4 people. Another thing about this mixer is that I could use it as an interface for my computer. So I could connect the mixer directly on to my laptop instead of just recording internally. That's another thing that I like about it as well, is that it has internal recording. Stick a memory card in there, bam, you can just record in there. So it gives it that 2 levels of safety. I can record directly onto the laptop or the computer, and I can record internally. Maybe in the future we decide to do like a live podcast. I could mix the sound, compress it, make it sound clean on the go, because the mixer allows me to do that. But majority of the time when we're doing the podcast, the whole thing is just recorded. I prefer it that way because I get better controls. You know, I can censor things, or I could color grade. You know, it's in my opinion, I like it better recorded rather than doing it live. Now I also have a second recorder, which is this guy over here. This is the Zoom H6 Essential. It's actually a field recorder, but the reason why I like this so much is that it actually has 4 inputs on the side for both XLRs and line-ins. This is probably my favorite recording equipment. Actually, it's probably not the mixer. For this one, I could literally do a podcast out on the field. Because if you look at the sides, yeah, I could plug in professional mics on the side. It does eat a lot of batteries, but you could actually plug it directly on to a power source to keep it running. So no problems with that whatsoever. And on top of that, it's also a 32-bit float recorder. So no matter how loud, how much you scream onto this thing, you'll never crack the sound. These mics on the top, I really like them. They record super clear. So this right here, I carry around everywhere, whether I'm doing band practices, maybe even the podcast. It's like my backup. So for example, I came in here, for some reason my main mixer is not working. I could use this as my recorder. Yeah, maybe in the future, gonna do some mobile podcasts inside a van, or I don't know, out in nature. This is definitely it. Now, when it comes to the mics, my main mic is this one, which is the Shure SM7B. I love this mic. It sounds really good. It's a little bit pricey, but I like it. It's perfect for podcasting. It's probably the most popular type of mic when it comes to podcasting. I was thinking of buying a few, but I might buy those used because they're quite expensive. Now, when it comes to the other mics, for the guest mics, these ones are not my mics. They're actually my friend's mic. They're Bonds. They're Behringer mics. I'm not sure which model of Behringers they are, but they're super clear. They're very good mics. Now, when it comes to my mic, I don't know if you guys could see it here. I actually have this long piece of thing over here. This is actually a Dynamite preamp. So what the preamp does is that it kind of boosts the sound, so I don't have to crank the volume as high and creates a lot of noise. I love this thing. It's very compact. It's like literally like a stick of dynamite, and yeah, it does the job. So I'm thinking of investing on probably like 3 more of these, depending on how often we do podcasting. But you could tell the difference between the sounds of a mic that's preamped versus the ones that are not. Now, as for the mic stands, if you guys noticed, my mic stand is on the floor. It's not on the table. That's on purpose. I chose that on purpose. The reason for that is because when it comes to doing podcasts, a lot of people will have their hands on the desk. So, you know, when they're doing these, putting their hands on the table, or a mic stand that's sitting on the table, you could actually hear that thud.
Okay, and this is before COVID, so like all this remote stuff, it really wasn't so common.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
that's
was
true,
it was,
actually.
it was-
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of that. So I purposely chose the ones that are sitting on the ground, so you don't really hear that. Now, when it comes to my monitors, how I monitor the sound, I try to give everybody a headphone so they can hear themselves when they're talking, because it's kind of weird when you're talking, you don't have anything in your ears. It's better, you feel more immersed if you're doing a podcast and you got earphones in, because you can hear everybody properly. So my first one is this AKG headphone. Yeah, it's not the best, but it does the job. I also have in-ear monitors. Those are the ones that I actually use during podcasts. I don't like having thing going over my head when I'm doing a podcast. I'd rather have it go behind my ears and into my ears, because I also use that when I'm playing with my bandmates. I think that's it for the recording part. Now, when it comes to the lighting part, I'm using a bunch of lights. Actually, one is that if you guys can see behind me, I turn all of these on, like my neon lights over there, the little Christmas lights on the plant over there. It's for ambient light. It's to kind of give it a little bit of a vibe, and I just kind of move them around as we're filming. And then my key light is this Godox, I think SL60 or something like that. I forgot what it's called. I've had this thing for like forever. It is, I believe, 60 watts, but it's good enough. It's bright enough. You don't need anything brighter, especially if you're in a studio like this. Yeah, to be honest though, when it comes to the lighting part, the key light is there, is perfect, you know, it does that. And then for my hair light over there, that's actually a strobe. It's not a continuous light. It's just that the light is on right now because it's just a modeling light. Hey, but it does the job. Battery life is quite long. So yeah, there's that. But to be honest though, I'm not 100% happy with the lighting system or with the lighting setup that I have. Usually the idea that I had for lighting is it's either I want the light, you know, just almost directly above us, but the roof is not high enough. I need at least a roof that's about 14 feet high. The roof that we have right now is only like 8 feet high, so I can't really go too high when it comes to putting on the key light. Yeah, so when we're filming the podcast, you guys can kind of see the dome of the key light. I mean, I don't really have a choice for now. I might change it up later in the future. I might put some lights up on the corner of the roof and the wall. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Now, when it comes to the editing part, the thing that does all the magic, I'm using a MacBook Pro M1, I think. That's basically my workhorse. I don't use my PC for editing at all. It's always my Mac. I find Apple's computer is more reliable when it comes to the editing, and their software is a lot more stable compared to Windows. For some reason, the Windows, they act a little weird sometimes. So when it comes to the editing software, I am using DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve does what I need it to do. And I used to use Premiere Pro, but I hate that software. That software is garbage. Now, as for the cameras, the first camera I'm using is the Sony a7 IV. a7 IV is the one that's actually recording this video right now, so I can't show it to you. Now, when it comes to the camera B, it's my old a7 III, Sony a7 III. Overall, these cameras, they do the job. The only downside and the only thing that kind of annoys me about it is the fact that, one, if you're recording in 4K, especially the Sony a7 IV, they have the tendency to overheat. So with the Sony a7 IV, it has the tendency to overheat around the 27-ish to even 30-minute mark, depending on how long I've been recording. With the a7 III, even though it's not overheating, it has a limit of, I think, 29 minutes of continuous recording. So I had to find another way to do continuous recording. So basically, the last podcast that I did, I had to shoot the entire thing at 1080p, so we didn't get any overheating problems. But I think that's majority it. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to message me, feel free to DM me, and I hope to the people who approach me and DM me asking what my setup is, I hope this answers your question, or at least 90% of it. I would love to help you guys out a little bit more. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask me. If you guys like this video, click like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.